Good morning, guys. Lady Sussex here with the boys here. Hey, say hello.
Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Well, guys, first and foremost, I would like to say thank you to you guys for all your comments and for watching the video. This has been recorded on our iPhone, and it's, if the sound is not so great, we apologize for that. And hopefully, when we get back in the state and things will be a little bit different. But for now, bear with us as we put the three. I think today this is what we're doing today, right? And then tomorrow we probably will put another one out again. So thank you so much for supporting us and encourage us to continue in this path. As I said again before, I think we all say here, this is bigger than Harry and Meghan, and we will explain what we mean by that in later podcasts when we're really getting deep into what is happening, what's been going on, and why the gloves are off. But to begin, who is in charge of this mess? Because it is a mess.
It's a PR disaster.
If it's not now, it will be. Because I thought was supposed to be all about the Queen. This is a woman that ran for 70 years, and we are not talking about her. We are talking about everything else but the Queen. Like, really make it make sense. So now we're hearing that Harry is being disinvited at a state dinner. If that is true, I don't understand. I'm confused. Because why? Because he's a non-working royal, whatever that means. Did they forget this is his grandmother? This is supposed to be a family. Isn't that what it's supposed to be, where people meeting the family? No, please explain to me.
That's one of those things that also doesn't even make sense, because that invitation mix-up, if it is a mix-up, or even any of the rest of it, it's not like this is a completely unforeseen event, and they must have been planning for it for quite some time. And so if that's the case, then you would assume that things are going off the way that they wanted them to, the way that they had planned for them to. And so for that to be if this is what they planned on having invited him, this to say that they could uninvite him, it's not only is that petty, but it also just works against him. It's another thing that's just going to backfire.
And you, Charles?
I don't know if that's the case, at least not how I see it. How I see it is that they probably invited and thought about all these things prior to the trip, got everything planned and sent, because these things take a long time to actually get out and the invitations sent and everything else like that. There's probably a lot of thought put into it. And then they saw the reaction that Meghan and Harry actually had once the event began, and realized that yet again they're going to be overshadowed. And so once they saw that, they said, okay, whoops, that's a problem. We can't have them taking center stage and then hogging all of our spotlight. And so that now they're trying to backpedal into a place where they feel more comfortable. But as George alluded to, that's just a disaster. It's going to be even worse. And then, as you yourself said, it's a mess. It's going to be an even bigger mess. So they've just completely mishandled this entire situation, as they usually do. So it's nothing really unexpected. It's unfortunate. This should not be how it went down, just because obviously it's not about anyone else except the Queen and her passing and being able to mourn that. Harry should definitely be able to mourn his grandmother in peace and not have to deal with all this craziness. But here we are.
Well, I think, I agree with both of you guys. I think it's all of it. But I also think maybe perhaps what they're thinking about, it's having people actually talk about this disaster. So they don't talk about what people is really talking about, the question of what the Queen has done. So maybe is that, I don't know. But we have a problem here because, for a queen who really from everything that I've known, she loves her country. Her beloved country is in crisis. And is that the kind of legacy you want her to leave behind? When you are hearing that, you know what, people unable to go and even have cancer treatment because we are in mourning. The bank is not open. The shelter or the food pantries, it's closed. Do they realize this is what people are going to be talking about instead of talking about the majesty? Do they realize that? I don't understand. Or is it Charles the Third, King Charles? It's starting his reign like the last two. Because, and we are going to getting into that, not in this particular podcast, because I think, one of the things that is been going on is that, it forces us to do research and learning. There's a lot that I learned that I didn't know before. And here I am thinking that, I'm a girl of history and that knows a lot, not everything, of course, probably will never will. Not, probably need like 2 lifetimes to quite really understand, everything. But what is going on right now, it's a hot mess. 1 minute, they don't want him to wear the uniform. The next minute, yes, he will wear the uniform. The next thing is like, hey, come out and do the walkabout. And then it seems like that did not work. They forced the other two to actually, well, I won't say forced because I don't know that for sure. This is all alleged. But they went back out and nobody talks about it. No one is talking about, what happened or anything like that. And they try to make a big deal about them holding hands, something that they've been doing as a couple. Obviously, they love each other. And more so now that you need that kind of support, this is what you do. You hug, you kiss, you hold, you do all that. Because I could just imagine what this is like for Harry. Because it's him relieving, his mom passing. And no matter how much we feel about the Queen, well, he's not our grandmother. That was his grandmother, and he had some relationship with him. And I'm sure for many of us, we probably have family member we either disagree with, or we know that's not so good. That doesn't mean that, we love them less. And so that love is showing. And I think Harry is not just only mourning his grandmother. You can see that his mother is in his head. I mean, just even when he was walking behind the, what do you call it? The procession, the coffin. And all I can think of is remember that little boy, you know what I mean? I mean, it's like we are in the same age range. So it's like, it had to be very difficult.
Well, I mean, you said something earlier that's kind of stuck with me, and I'm sure we'll talk about it more in later podcasts, but just asking the question, is it not actually a disaster, but is it something that they're planning to do to have the conversation focus on that rather than the other things that it could focus on? Because you're right, we're not actually talking about the Queen at all. We're not talking about her reign at all. We're not talking about any of that. And so maybe in their mind, they're choosing the lesser of two evils almost. Mm-hmm. Because there's always going to be questions at the end of a reign of what's the justifying the monarchy itself, the justifying the institution. And so maybe their thinking is, look, let's talk about Harry and Meghan rather than anything else.
But what they don't realize that is happening is that this will be awakening of that whole imperialism, because this was supposed to be a modernized monarchy. And as we later on will talk about, certainly not in this podcast, we as people of color, we're always looking for allies. And so having Meghan Markle walk into this massive, what do you call it, institution, for many of us think, well, okay, at least we can be in the room now. And this woman, what miss out in all this conversation, what she could have achieved for them and for us as well. Her own knowledge, what she studied, what she went to school for. This is the woman that worked with the UN and race relations.
You're talking about Meghan.
Of course. And how it could have been good for them in so many ways. And they miss this huge opportunity, especially after they sell to us that, you know what, oh my God, it's going to be it's a breath of fresh air. Yes, you know, that modernism needed to happen and it is happening. And so what's going on now? My opinion, this girl has been nothing but grace perfect in so many ways. And I'll dare to say the whole curtsy thing, I've never seen such a beautiful curtsy. She make curtsy look beautiful. As ridiculous that sounds, you know, but it's everything. Posture, look, attitude, everything they claim they are. But right now, the way this is looking, it's a ghetto mess. I dare say, call it a ghetto mess. It feels like it. I know you guys are shocked this word come out of my mouth, but that is the only way that I can use the street word to call it. It's a ghetto mess.
Call it something else.
Don't call it ghetto?
No, call it something else.
So what would I call it?
It's a hot mess.
It's a hot mess.
It goes back to the question of who's actually in charge of what's going on. Who's in charge of this situation that has let it become this.
Right. But I use that word because that's what they often try to describe us. They try to describe us as if, like, you know what, we are so uneducated, so uncivilized, so to speak. And so the name they have for us, it's ghetto, because we don't have the attitude, the grace that they have in boy. And it seems like, you know, women of color is truly the one that is showing them as it's done. And so for me, yeah, they're going to need to own that name. This is time that we throw that name right back at them. Right back at them. Who's ghetto now? Because this is a hot mess. But then again, they might think that, you know what, hey, they're, like we're saying, they are very smart. That somehow we'll be able to dismiss, you know, Meghan. We'll be able to dismiss Harry. You know, nobody cares. I could tell you guys, the conversation that is happening everywhere around the world, they better be prepared and ready. And a lot of it's not just because everything that has done to people of color, everything that's happening in this country, their country. But the highlight is on how they treat Harry and Meghan. It's what's going to force people, not really, I won't say force people, give people the permission to actually bring it all up. They had an opportunity and they fell miserably. So, guys, we're going to watch what happened tomorrow. We will be looking and we'll be a part of it. We'll participate. We are watching. All eye is on them.
You could probably hear it from this episode, but the gloves are off. and we'll wait till we start swinging until we get back to the States.
So guys, I will continue following everyone else and see what everybody's talking about. And I want to send out a shout out to Miss V and to Byron that was doing an incredible job every day. Oh my God. I wish I could hear Tina and Michelle, so I miss them both, and I hope they are doing well, but we got to keep carrying the torch, because we have a lot to talk about.
Takes work, gotta put in the work.
Amen. So let's see if we can bring them back home safe, because in the mix of that chaos, that's when bad things happen, and they're like, oops. So right now our concern is that our girl and Harry is back safe to their family, and so we are gonna pray. So keep them, guys, in your prayers, and know that, you know what, when people are not looking, that's when things will happen, or in the mix of the chaos. So we have our eyes on them. So we are here. Here we go. Have a good day, guys. Love you all. Bye-bye.